Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about why women, feminists, globalists, leftists, social justice warriors, butthurt Democrats deserve to be sad. And male feminists, too, right? And feminist female apologists. That's what I'm calling them from now on. Whenever a guy comes into my comment section and starts talking shit about like, oh, well, the men do it too, you're a female apologist. But here's the thing. We, as a society, have empowered these people. And this is what happens when you empower idiots. This is what happens when you empower people who cannot empower themselves. You go, girl. Wrong. If you can't walk the walk, don't talk the talk. That's all there is to it. And none of these feminists can walk the walk. That's the whole thing. That's why they are butthurt. That's why they're all upset. Because they honestly think that they should be president. Oh, they should be in charge of a company. Oh, they should have a whole bunch of material possessions and power and influence in this world. Oh, because we're all equal. No, we're not all equal. If you're an idiot who can't take care of things and who can't think things through, then you're an idiot who can't take care of things and can't think things through. And you're limited in certain positions within life and within the conversation and within the exchange and the dialogue. It's mostly going to consist of things like you being upset and telling other people how stupid they are. Why do these people deserve to be upset? Well, first of all, like a petulant child, they are unreasonable. They have unrealistic expectations and demands of the world. They don't understand some basic fundamental principles that if you deal with reality, you get to these basic fundamental principles. Like whenever somebody starts off a comment with something like, oh, you know what you don't understand? It's like, oh boy. It doesn't matter because I already know what you don't understand. And it's a fundamental thing. So like the spoiled child, like the entitled princess bitch, of course they're going to be unhappy. And of course they're going to have unreasonable expectations. What these people need is a strong dose of reality. And you almost have to feel sorry for somebody who doesn't get that strong dose of reality, that feedback from reality, that guidance from reality. The child that's been taken care of its whole life. The woman who's been getting by on her looks her whole life. Or even a man who tries to get by on his wits and his cleverness his whole life and never builds up the substance and the skills and the strength that he needs. Now, I have compassion for the men because the young men are tricked and conditioned to get ahead and go along in this system as a woman, as a female, in their attitude, in their psychology, in their thoughts, in their outlooks, in their behavior. And this destroys them physically. You can't build yourself up if you've got to look at some big fat walrus and say, oh, I'm no different from a big fat walrus. Bullshit. You're a man. You're unlike anything on this planet. You are unique in all of creation. And women have children. That's what they do. That's the function they serve. Can they think? Can they feel? Can they do things? Of course they can. Can they do things as good as a man? Well, they can do things as good as most men, right? Because most men aren't really pushing themselves. But what you can do as a man far, far surpasses what a woman can do. And if a woman tries to do what a man can do, it will destroy her ability to have children. She can't do it. I mean, there's a few women who can do it. They have the physical strength, they have the discipline, and they do have less material to work with. They can take plenty of testosterone too. Changes their physique and changes their mental outlook as well. They can become extremely ambitious and career oriented, but they have to separate it in their mind and still, hopefully they can still be feminine. And to some of you who are hearing this, you're thinking, oh, well, the idea of a woman being powerful and empowered and things like that. Who the hell is empowered? It's like Ronda Rousey getting her head kicked off, punched in the face 20 times. Like, was she empowered? Is that an empowered woman? I mean, she certainly had the attitude of an empowered woman, right? But it didn't matter when she wasn't ready for those fights. It didn't matter when her opponent, had the skills that she didn't have and they were going to focus the fight on those skills. It didn't matter. You have MMA fans that were upset that Ronda Rousey lost. They were crying and moaning and groaning, right? It's like, well, she didn't have the skill set. That's all. She would just get into the ring and she would bully people and she would wrestle them down to the ground and then she would try to break their arm. That's it, okay? Just strong. She could move. She had a lot of wrestling skills, a lot of judo skills. But no, more than that, she wasn't much of a fighter. She didn't have a full, skill set. She wasn't well-rounded. So what's the point? Well, the feminists and the women and the social justice warriors and the butthurt millennials, they don't have the skill set. They don't have the tools to deal with reality. They don't have the tools to deal with their own disappointments and their own shortcomings. These aren't even reality-based people. See, this is the fundamental aspect of it all. Reality is reality. A is A. This is why cultural relativism and this whole idea of a subjective world, magical thinking, it's actually physically destructive to your physiology. If you adopt those mental attitudes, at some point, it's going to actually manifest in your body, and your body is just going to become all fat and soft and weak, as your mind becomes as well. So it's this lazy attitude. I'm going to get this good job as a doctor, but I'm not going to really develop the skills as a doctor. We're going to put more women in engineering. What are you talking about? That's retarded. That's like saying, I'm going to get a man here on the job who doesn't know how to do the job, and we're going to treat him like a plumber, but he's not a plumber. That's what you're saying. Let's get somebody to fly the plane who can't fly the plane because we want to flatter their ego. You want to be a passenger on that plane? I don't. This is absurd, the level it goes to. And it's all about this entitlement of privileged people. And it's because, men want to have sex with them. We don't want to see them upset. Their estrogen is going wild. And they become toxic individuals. If you don't go along with them, they pitch fits. They pitch emotional fits. They tell lies throughout the institutions. Do you ever lose a job because of a woman made an accusation against you? Well, if you're a man, welcome to the club. So that's how entitled these people are. That's the kind of power these people have. And if you stare at them for too long, they'll accuse you of rape. As if their emotional state and their reaction to the world and to their internal state is the deciding factor in reality. So even a college classroom that wants to talk about difficult subjects, violence, brutality in the law, in society, war, we're going to indulge some retarded emotional child that this upsets them so we can't talk about it? Yeah, that's exactly the level of entitlement that we're talking about here. So how is a person with this type of a mindset going to be able to go out into the real world and build anything? We are able to prefabricate the tools to build houses more and more so that even like a weak little woman could take the various sections, bolt them together, and follow the instructions. Does that mean that she can build a house? Of course not. She doesn't know any of the things necessary to build a house. She can't even build the machines that built the parts that she's going to use to build the house. So what happens when the little woman who's built the prefabricated house with the parts that were made by machines, from machines that were made by men, that were programmed by men, but now women have all those jobs, and they only bring the men in to do the maintenance, and they act like they're, pieces of garbage. So what happens to that woman when that house gets blown down, when the big bad wolf comes and just blows her house down? And there's no replacement parts. And there's no company to sell those parts because that company has to go out of business because all it does is employ affirmative action, women, people who can't really do the job. It's like some sort of social commentary. So what happens? Well, she gets hurt. She gets upset. She deserves to be upset. And if she doesn't adapt to the demands of reality and the conditions around her, it's not going to end well. But I'm sure she can get a man who does know these things to help her out. And then she can assume the credit for the man's work and then assume the status that comes with having performed the job that she didn't perform. So that's what you've got walking around. A majority of people walking around in the civilization who are being coddled, who are being taken care of, who are being treated like entitled, privileged princesses. And they don't have to deal with reality. And they think that because they have this exalted place above reality, that they are in fact worthy of it. So of course they become presumptuous. And of course, they become arrogant. And of course they're impossible to work with. And of course their personal world falls apart. And of course they blame everybody else. And I'm sick and tired of it. And I know that I live in a system of men who have been conditioned to simper, to these women and to cower before these types of demands. And I understand. I'm not even like, how dare you? You have to find your own way. You have to go your own way. MGTOW. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.